Hello, team. Really great to see you here. Welcome into our session where we're going to be having a look at, well, essentially, how can AI help us do our roles in product management? My name is Louise Cantrell and I'm a consultant trainer here at Tarigo. I am joined by my colleague, Kane Avery. He is our resident expert on testing out AI tools and how they can help us in our roles as product managers. Come on in, Kane. Say hi.
Hi, everyone. Nice to be here. I'm Kane Avery. I'm also a consultant trainer with Tarigo. We're here to talk a little bit about AI today. We're going to jump into it, Louise.
Now, Kane, you're our expert on this, so I am going to be the curious product manager, curious to understand what you've been doing with AI and how it can help us in our roles. Now, I think it's safe to say that you've been playing around with this technology for a while. Is that right?
Absolutely, yeah, definitely. And it's crazy technology to play around with as well. So I've been testing out a number of platforms of generative chatbots, especially with a bit of a focus on how we complete some of the typical tasks that we run through in our training as well as product managers.
Now, what do we have in front of us? This looks to me like an innovation canvas. Explain to the people listening, well, how can an innovation canvas help us in product?
It is, absolutely. An innovation canvas is something that we use. You can see we've got 10 questions to answer in each of those boxes on the canvas. And essentially what we're using it for is assessing ideas. The idea behind it is to assess the commercial viability of an idea through a couple of different types of questions, understanding sort of what the problem is, the scale, those types of questions that we need to answer. So we're looking at the commercial viability of an idea using this canvas.
So you've been trying out lots of tools and templates that we typically use in product management and seeing how AI performs. Now, you've been using ChatGPT-4 for this one, is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've actually done this canvas in GPT 3.5 Turbo, the free version that people can use, GPT-4, which you typically have a bit of a subscription to pay for, and I've also tried it in Google Bard as well. GPT-4 is the example that you can see on the screen here in this particular innovation canvas.
Now, GPT-4, is this a paid-for version that we're using? Which version are you using to do this?
Yes, using the paid-for version directly through OpenAI. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Now, what did you ask it to do? What did you prompt it with?
So I tried to do this all in one go, and I've done these separately and all in one go before as well. So you can see this one was actually done in one big written prompt. So you can see the prompt on the screen on the left-hand side. So I gave it the structure of the innovation canvas in its totality for it to understand what I was asking it in terms of structure, how I wanted it to answer. And then the last 4 or 5 lines is actually the prompt itself, the question I was asking it. The rest is just the structure of the template. And then I went on to ask it, can you complete an innovation canvas for Tarigo as a product management training and consultancy business that wants to host and run a global forum on how to use AI in product management to help product managers do their job? So gave it a really nice, simple written prompt, as well as the structure of the canvas. And essentially, we want to understand how well it can start to generate this type of content itself, not necessarily using it as a search engine as such, but having it generate some of the content, maybe giving us the starting blocks potentially of some of the work that we need to do as product managers.
And how do you think she did overall? You see the way I'm kind of calling AI a she there? I don't know why, but how did AI do in the innovation canvas?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think it's done quite well. It started off really strongly. So what is it? That global forum on using AI gets to the point of us looking to integrate AI into the workflow to improve decision making and the product development process. So it's fairly high level, but it's really well summarized. Something AI is really good at is summarizing content. So it's been able to understand the idea from my very simple prompt without giving it too much information, but then summarized it into some detail as well to give us a larger idea of what it is we're working on. Then we've got that, is it a problem and how is it being solved today and who has the problem, those next 3 boxes. It's also done fairly well in these areas as well. We understand that we're looking to target product managers. Now, those product managers may come in different forms in terms of job titles. We may be looking at senior product managers as well as product managers and junior product managers, for example. It's not necessarily split those apart, but it understands that we're focusing on product managers, as well as how it's being solved today, understanding that typically this is done through webinars, online courses, and workshops at the moment. And there's plenty of content online. It's not quite included maybe LinkedIn and YouTube in terms of content around this topic particularly, but it's done a pretty good job of starting us off here. Also, I quite like how it differentiates us as well, understanding that we're looking to use expert speakers and tailored content through this global forum that we're potentially planning, and it's noted all of that down really nicely.
Now, this is a fictitious example that we gave it, but you can see it's the type of thing that businesses like ourselves may be interested in doing. I guess we see lots of these, don't we, through our training that we deliver. Kind of people will do these as part of the training. They'll give these canvases a go. This looks like it looks fairly regular. Kind of, I guess one area that I'm just picking up on is, and by the way, this is classic, right, in training. It's sometimes really hard on these canvases to get to a level of scale. How did it do on scale, right? Because those questions across the bottom, kind of, is it a growing market? And what does the opportunity look like in 3 years' time? Or how large is the opportunity? Sometimes we see kind of people not faring very well when they come to answer those questions, either overestimating the market or just not being very clear. How did AI do?
Yeah, so it's a similar story here as well. So as you can see, if we look at those three particular boxes you mentioned, the growing market, the opportunity 3 years ahead, and the size of the opportunity, we haven't really got any metrics in there at all for us to start to understand and deduce anything from. So it doesn't give us a sense of scale at all in this. Now, it's worth noting that this is GPT-4 in its default mode, so it has limited access to up-to-date information. I think the message goes up to September 2021 in terms of its access to information, and it can't browse the web in that default form as well. So there may be something to come for us in terms of actually answering the question around scale and seeing how well it can do at that. But in this particular example, we haven't got anything there. So it does falter, though, like you said, it falters in the areas that we typically see less detail or less information around what we want to see in training as well. So it's done a fairly average job at completing this, and it certainly gives us the starting blocks for us to then go over this really quickly. So you can get to this level of innovation canvas within a couple of minutes using the chatbot, and then we can then work on it following that to bring it to life and breathe across it with the expertise and knowledge that we have as our product managers.
And you said something interesting there. You said it can get us out of the starting blocks or something to that effect. It can help do some of the legwork for us. What would you, if you had to give it a score, like, imagine we're back at school, kind of like, A+ being the top score, kind of like D- kind of being down there. What would you give it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I'd probably start to score this somewhere around a C+ in that sort of area. It's a really effective starting point for us, but because of the faults around scale, there's still a fair bit of legwork for us to do to fill out this canvas effectively, to understand that opportunity size, especially. So yeah, somewhere around a C+. Works well in a lot of areas, but that scale piece still leaves us with plenty of work that we have to complete in order to do this efficiently.
So some work to be done, especially around scale, but this can help us kind of, it can speed up the work that we need to do. It gets us kind of up and running kind of on these ideas. Of course, we need to naturally breathe across it ourselves, do our own research. Join us, by the way, if you're interested in us looking at some of the new and the latest features that have come out very recently around OpenAI. We're going to be looking at whether we can do a better job through some of the add-on tools and plugins, particularly around this area of scale. Thanks for joining us. If you're interested in any product management training, please do check us out on our website. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.